Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today I am in the middle of a project and I actually have been extremely busy, and I've finally completed one of the main projects that I was trying to get done, and I was so excited about it that I kind of just went on to doing some other stuff that I wanted to do and just kind of more like fun things. So I almost forgot to record this. So I went ahead and grabbed my camera, and nothing's really kind of set up, but I did want to have footage of this to share with you because this is really the first project that I'm using this tool for. So let me show you what that is. So what I've got going on here is this Vevor Cut 50P, and this is the non-touch or the pilot arc version of this. I've been seeing these on a few channels and I thought, you know what, I've really been wanting to get me a plasma cutter, but I didn't want to spend $500, $600, $700, $800 on one. So I thought, you know what, this might be a pretty good solution. So I'm going to give you my take on this. As you know, I bought this, they did not send it to me, so I am not biased in any way in this. Like, I'm going to give you my opinion, but my opinion also may not be that credible to a lot of people because this is the first time I've ever used a plasma cutter. And I have made a few little practice cuts, and I learned real fast in order to get straight cuts that I'm going to have to set up jigs and that kind of stuff to get good straight cuts. But where this shines at is that I can get cuts that aren't straight, or I can get them in the middle of stuff, and I can do bigger pieces. I have a metal cutting bandsaw, but I can only cut about 6 inches or so with that. The metal cutting bandsaw it's pretty slow for this kind of stuff. If you're just taking like angle iron and cutting it in half, or pipe and tubing and that kind of thing, it is amazing. It'll make great square cuts, and you can even go off and leave it cutting. You know, so if it takes a few minutes, you just lay the saw down and it'll just cut itself through and then be done. In that situation, it works great. But in this, if you're trying to make a long cut, it takes a long time to push that through there, and it gets very tiresome and it's very slow and time consuming. So that's what I'm hoping this plasma cutter is going to resolve. But again, this is coming from somebody that has no experience welding and no experience using plasma cutters. So everything may not be real pretty, but I'm at least going to give you my opinion from somebody that's trying to learn. So one of the complaints that I have straight out of the gate though is that the power cord for this cutter is only about 6 feet long, and my 220 plug is on the inside of my garage door, and it just barely will reach the plug and then get the cutter to the outside of the door. So I have to rely on everything else to reach farther away. I do have a solution for that. I've got a 50-foot extension cord coming that's rated for 50 amps, which is what this cutter is rated for. So that should give me the length and everything that I need and should be fine there. But I just wish you didn't have to buy that cord extra, because that's an extra expense. I'm pretty happy with that. So I started over here on this side, and you can see the little crook right there. But what had happened, like, I was hanging up on my guide, and so it's a lot easier to pull on the cut than it is to push it. So I started back here, and as you can see, you can start a cut without being at the end or whatever. You can kind of turn that at about a 45 and then start hitting it, and then it'll penetrate down through the metal, and then you can just bring your cut right on through. That actually worked really good. So pretty much what I'm doing here too is just taking my guide and lining my tip up with my line. And then I'll just put me a clamp on it to hold my guide in place. And just making sure that it's back out of the way, so when I start my guide, then there's nothing touching the clamp. And same way on the other side. Just taking my tip and lining it up with the line. And kind of just making sure it stays on the line the entire time. And I'm going to clamp it down on this end. Check it one more time. And that looks good. So let's go ahead and cut that. What do I got going on here? Oh. Okay, so rookie mistake. This is what I was talking about. You know, I have no experience using stuff like this, and I'm kind of excited, kind of got in a hurry to go ahead and make this cut. While I was moving my piece around, I moved my ground clamp, and I guarantee that's why this thing's not cutting right now. So the ground clamp needs to be on the piece that you're cutting, or if you have a metal table, then your piece needs to be clamped down to a metal table and then your clamp on that metal table. But you have to have that ground clamp on there for this to work. I knew that from welding and all that, because this works basically the same way. But it just didn't dawn on me at first. So that just goes to show you, you know, my inexperience and things. Just look out for that. So now let's try this cut again. I bet it'll cut through it now. Since I got the kinks worked out of that, then once again, this cut worked fine. And I kind of made it ugly a little bit by my mess up and, you know, not realizing that I didn't have that ground clamp on there. That's just a dumb mistake, but it happens because, you know, my experience doesn't say do this, do this, do this, because I really just don't know that much about it. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, because can a beginner and somebody that knows nothing about this stuff use this type of equipment and tools to be able to learn to weld and learn to plasma cut and, you know, get use out of that and start learning to do metal projects? So far, yes, I definitely think that you can do that. I am having a blast, actually, these little welding projects that I've done in the past, and then the things that, you know, like being able to use this plasma cutter now, because I can see the potential if I can continue to learn and get better at it, which there's no doubt that I can. And I think these tools are good enough to learn what makes cuts better and what makes welding better and that kind of stuff. So I think these things are going to work out great. So let me show you the cut up close here, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So as you can see, I really messed up getting that started because I didn't have my ground on there and it would not cut all the way through that. I kept messing with it. It was building up heat and it ended up kind of messing up my guide here just a little bit. And it caused it to spring out a little bit. And then my tip was actually touching the metal. And then when I realized that, I was over here and it seemed to be cutting okay, but then I could tell it was doing something funny and felt like it was hanging up. Well, it was because the tip of the cutter was actually touching the metal. And then I realized that, so then I fixed that, and you can see how much cleaner the cut got once I passed that. So again, my inexperience is really what is happening right here, but it's actually good enough still. I'll just take the grinder and I'll smooth this down a little bit and dress it up, make it look good, and it'll be plenty good enough for what I'm wanting to use it for. But this cutter actually has the potential to make a lot cleaner cut than that. It's just my inexperience doesn't let it do that just yet. So I think after using it a few more times, and once this project's complete, I've got a lot of cuts to make. So I think that it will actually, you know, I'll be able to learn and get better and better the more I use it. So I gotta say, I am very happy with that. So I don't know if I could have cut that any straighter using a bandsaw unless I had a fence or something like that. Yeah, you know, if you had a big enough saw and a fence and everything on there where you could just push it through straight. But I don't think I could have cut it quicker, especially once I learned to use this a little bit better. I think I could really, you know, cut through this stuff fairly efficiently and then have some nice clean cuts. So I'm really happy with that so far. If you think you might like something like this, I do have an affiliate link that you can click on to check out this exact plasma cutter. Also, you can use the code VVPROMO and be able to get an additional 5% off of that. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video with this plasma cutter, because I'm going to take you along and show you what I'm actually making. So thanks for checking out the video today, and until next time, keep it outdoors, and we'll see you on the next one.